Hello and welcome to another video by Johnny IELTS. So in this video, it's a speaking practice video, and Miss Trúc from class IELTS 43 is going to do her regular speaking practice. So are you ready? Are you ready, Miss Trúc? As always, huh?
Uh,
Okay, so let's do topic part one first. And here, 69. No, there's no 60. Okay, we did 60 already. Let's do 59 of wild animal. You know, wild animals are animal that has not been tamed. So they have not been tamed, đã được thuần hóa. They have not been tamed and they have not been domesticated. Domesticated means like brought to love and work with human. Brought to live and work with human. It means like, for example, they live together with humans like horses, chickens, um, cows, dogs and cats, you know. So those animals have not been tamed, they have not been domesticated, like they live in the wild. So wild, hoang dại, hoang dã. Okay, so Mr. What is your favorite wild animals?
my favorite is
Are you
uh,
still there? Hello?
well, hello.
Okay, I'm here. I listen. Okay.
Okay, my favorite wild animal
Mhm.
is dolphin.
Dolphin.
Yes, and I think they're very adorable, uh, and they can do many activities that mimic uh, to people, such and of course they quite friendly to human. That is not hard to see them uh, because it's they not only in not in nature, but
So
also
they're not in something. They can you say that again? They are not
they not only uh,
found in nature, you mean?
found in nature. Yes, um, there's also uh, domestic domesticated
They're
by
also
human
domesticated by human. You
by
have to
human.
tame an animal first before you domesticate them. Phải thuần hóa nó trước rồi mới đem vô làm việc lao động với con người được nha. So they are tamed and domesticated. Yeah.
Yes, yes,
Right. Okay.
yes.
Aside
The
from the dolphin, is there any other animals, wild animals, that is your favorite?
I think people interest many kinds of wild animals because they uh, because of how they look, behave, or the s- the story we tell
Hmm.
about them. And just as um, predators that symbolize
Not
uh,
predator, they are predators.
predators. Yes,
Predators. Okay, be careful with this word. Predators. It
predators.
means they hunt. They hunt
Yes,
and kill their prey.
yeah,
They
yeah.
hunt and kill their prey. So they are predators. Okay,
Yes,
predators.
predators.
Let's see here. Moment, let me just share computer sound. Okay.
Predator,
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 predator.
Predator.
predator,
Predator or
predator,
predator. Predator.
predator.
Okay, so they are predators, of course. They are dangerous.
Yes, because
Okay.
they usually symbolize mm, power and high status. In some in their nature, yes. So many people admire them.
Admire. So many people
Admire,
admire.
yes,
Yes.
admire them. Uh, for their powerful and symbolist of courage.
Okay.
Yes. Um, bes- Besides that, um, gentle giants such as elephants and whales can be a symbol of
Yes.
yes, symbol of yes, I think it's a symbol of a society
It's a
that
symbol of society. Yeah.
yes, mm,
Okay. And
and
have you seen,
many
have you ever
skies.
seen, okay, and have you ever seen wild animals?
Uh, the- I think that I have seen wild animals, but of course, I didn't see them in nature.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of that, when I go to the zoo, and for example, I can see wild animals, uh, but they are of course
Domesticated. Domesticated.
domesticated by human, and they work for them uh, as a workers to and they are taken care of
They're taken
by
care of by zookeepers, right?
yes by newskeeper. And I think it is a way to prevent them from ex- extinct
From escaping.
extinct
Yeah.
from extinct.
They escape to the escape to the outside world. I mean,
Uh,
you don't want them to escape to residential areas, Like if you let them escape to a residential area, they can cause a lot of harm, especially for children or I don't know. Because some people they are very ugly inside. They try to provoke the animals, Họ kích cái con nó lên, kích động nó lên. They provoke the animals. And of course, the animal become very angry and they can cause a lot of harm to humans. So, but okay, so let's continue from the zookeeper thing. You talk about like
I
zookeepers who keep those animals alive and from not
I
escaping.
means I means many uh, many wild animals which are in danger are taken care of by the zookeeper to prevent them from being extinct.
Mhm.
And and that's also a way for many people have a chance to see wild animals by their own age.
Mhm.
Be- it's, I think that children mm, deserves learn to learn about natures in by an interesting ways, as just like this, because they can go to the zoos and communicate with wild animals in a safe distance. Of course, uh, they are observed by their instructors and people.
Responsibility. You mean responsibility, right?
I mean, people who are responsible for uh keep children safe,
Ah,
birds, animals, yes, and it trusts them how to communicate with these wild um, animals.
mhm.
Of course, it's danger if they are
It's dangerous if
it's
they.
dangerous. Yes, for people if they don't know how to communicate with them.
Mhm. Right, I see. And you know what? Animals are often like much stronger than humans. Of course, they have a very good physique. They have good physique. They have good physique that helps them to survive in the wild. So of course, they can cause a lot of damage. They can kill people. A lot of them can do that. But humans, on the other hand, we are not strong. We are not as strong as them. So in a way, they are still very dangerous, you know. Okay, so do you like watching animals in a zoo? Like in a cage, you know?
Uh, I mm, I enjoy watching animals in the zoo because um I can see them for close.
You,
Just
you can
give
see them up close, right?
up
So
close.
I can see them up close. Tôi có thể nhìn chúng thấp gần. I can see them up close.
I can see them up close.
Mhm.
Just give people a chance to learn about animals. They
Mhm.
might never see it in nature. Children especially love visiting zoos. Um, and so do I because the animals are exciting and fun to watch.
Mm.
Um, I think it's very interesting to explore why animals' habitats and their natural behaviors,
Natural
nat-
behavior.
and
Their
their
natural
natural
behaviors.
natural behaviors. Zoos also
Hmm.
teach visitors why animals are important to the world. So it's
For
also
animal conservation, right?
yes, yes, they
Okay, I really have
they
to repeat this word. To preserve. To preserve, of course, to preserve means like bảo tồn những cái không sống. Like for example, food, culture, languages, buildings. For example, these are things that are not alive, that is preserve. And we will have the word preservation, 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 preservation as a noun of that. And another word is conserve. Conserve. It means bảo tồn, bảo vệ những cái còn sống. Like for example, animals or plants or humans, etc. You know, so things that's alive is conserve, and the noun form is conservation. 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 All right. Preserve, preservation. Conserve, conservation. Okay. Okay, so what did you want to say about animal conservation then?
I'm yes, of course, zoos have protest endangered animals and prevent them from going extinct.
Mm-hmm.
That's a way to uh, preserve, to conserve. How, However, I think that zoos do not always give animals enough space and uh, and investment have them to have them survive.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, most of their investments come from visitors and sponsors. But nowadays, many people do not interested in visiting the
Many
zoo.
people are
Some
not
are not are not
interested in.
are not interested in uh, visiting the zoos because they
Because it's
have more,
boring. It's boring.
yes, traditional zoos seems more and more boring.
Traditional.
Traditional traditional zoos become more and more boring. I think that they should have an innovative methods to have people to attract more visitors in the future. Be- because nowadays people have many other entertainment activities that's more attractive.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, even many Jews are trying their best to create better living environment
Mm-hmm.
for the animals, but of course it depends on how many the budgets they have.
The budget, you mean like the city, the budget that the city have? Yeah,
Yes,
because zoos are run by the city councils, you know. Hội đồng thành phố nó chạy vận hành mấy cái zoo đó nè. Hội đồng thành phố hay gọi là ủy ban á. Okay, so oh yeah. All right, so it's enough about wild animals. Let's move on to part two and part three. Okay, it's I have to really zoom out so I can click on the thing here, you know. I don't know what it's called. Anyway, let's move on to part two and part three here. So, 50 something. These are okay. There's a lot of part two topics here, around 50 to 60 something. Yeah, a lot of topics, which belongs to okay, let's try describe a thing you refuse to lend. I got a feeling that we did this one a long time ago, but it's okay to redo it again. Now, describe a thing you refused to lend. Let's try something else besides from money, you know. Nói cái khác thì đừng nói về chuyện mượn tiền nữa. You know, miêu tả một thứ bạn đã từ chối cho mượn. To lend or to borrow, you know. You should say what the thing was, who wanted to borrow it from you, why he or she wanted to borrow it from you, and explain why you refused him or her. Like, for example, sometimes people know that you have a drill, you know, drill, D-R-I-L-L. Cái máy khoan á. People have know that you have it, so sometimes they ask you to borrow it from you and they never remember to return it. And sometimes they return it, but it's broken or something like that, you know. That thing happened a lot in the past. These days, I don't think people borrow things from each other that much, you know. But in the past, I think it's much more often. I think one thing people often borrow it's books or stationaries. You know, stationaries, đồ dùng học tập. Like for example, ink. Like you can talk about stationery, những đồ dùng học tập. Okay, let me just check the word. I'm sure it's I must be sure if it's like I think stationery would weird. It doesn't have that word. Okay, stationery. It's nary, I think. Stationary with an E, I think. Oh, that's why stationary is uncountable. Không đếm được nha. It's uncountable. And stationary, uncountable, it means that the thing was needed for writing, such as paper, pens, pencil, and envelopes. Everything you can find in the office. Những đồ dùng học tập hoặc là trong văn phòng. Like pens, papers, what's it called? Stickers, pens, papers, pencils, bút chì màu, what's it called? Colored pencil, colored pens and pencils, scissors, things like that. These are stationaries, but people often borrow it from each other and then they never give you back. That's a problem. You can talk about that, or you can probably talk about, say, people in Vietnam often lend others their motorbikes, cho bạn mượn xe, But these days, according to the law, it's forbidden to do so, It's against the law. Giờ cho mượn xe là bị phạt tiền đó nha, tại vi phạm luật pháp. Phải là chính chủ điều khiển cái xe đó. You have to, if you are the one riding a motorbike, you have to be the one who own it. You have to prove it with like papers, like ID card, driver license, driver's license. Giấy đăng ký xe đó nha. And basically registration paper for the bike, for the motorbike. Có nhiều người mượn xe máy, mượn xe hơi luôn nha. Some people they let others drive their car for them, something like that. Okay, but this thing is a thing you refuse to lend. Okay, part 3 of borrowing, lending things. So what situation should people lend things to others and why? Like, think about the fact that not everybody has the financial stability, sự ổn định tài chính. Not everyone has the financial possibility to afford expensive items, Like, for example, a motorbike can be an expensive item. And not everyone has the finance to do that. You can talk about the finance. Nhớ trong đầu nha. Finance. Không phải ai cũng có tài chính để làm được chuyện đó, để mua những đồ đó. So a lot of the time they ask their brothers or sisters, to lend them their bikes, motorbikes, or even cars, Sometimes sometimes people actually ask me if they can borrow my instrument, but to be honest with you, I would say no. Because for musicians, instrument, it's like something vital for your survival. So I would never let people borrow my instruments. I'll probably like allow them to rent it, yes, but not borrow it, Đối với nghệ sĩ thì thực sự là cái công cụ là lao động, cái nhạc cụ á, nó là cái gì nó tốt quan trọng lắm. Người ta sẽ không rời nó đâu. Trừ khi nào ta cho thuê chẳng hạn, chứ không cho mượn đâu. Okay, so think about those things. And also think about a lot of items can like only use once. Like for example, wedding dress. Váy cưới, một đời người cưới mấy lần. You know, in a lifetime, how many times would you wear a wedding dress? And of course, you will gain weight or lose weight. So the wedding dress from one time you use it might not fit you anymore on the next time you know, have a wedding of your own. Like, normally people marry each other and divorce after a few years, something like that. Of course, they get fatter or they become more skinny. So their wedding dress might not fit them anymore. You can talk about things that people only use once. Hãy nghĩ về những thứ mà con người ta sử dụng có một lần thôi. Vest or vest. Our vest, basically vest or formal clothes. Formal clothes, những quần áo mà trịnh trọng, formal clothes. I mean, if you don't work for a big company, you don't need to wear formal clothes all the time. Then if you buy it, it's rare that you will use it, right? Very rare. So you might ask people to lend you formal clothes, for example. Another thing that I think people can lend is basically leather shoes. Leather shoes for formal events. Giày da chuyên dành cho những sự kiện mà trịnh trọng lịch sự. Well, those things can be a thing that people often borrow. Okay, you can have some ideas here. I'll ask Gemini, which is the AI. Okay, give me the thing. Give me a list of things people often borrow. Okay. And interesting, why they actually give me in Vietnamese. Okay, so basically I told you like stationery, laptop charger, phone charger, what's it called? Sticky tapes. Cái dập ghim là cái stapler. And change, small change, tiền lẻ. And for neighbors, sometimes they borrow some salt, some sugar, some fish sauce, like spices. They borrow spices, gia vị, hương liệu. Sometimes they buy like any kind of equipment that can be used for fixing your house, like uh, hammer, screw driver. Nó là cái túi nơ vít á, cái tô vít á. Screwdriver, screw là cái con ốc á, ốc vít. Screwdriver là cái chuyên dùng để mà drive cái con ốc đó nó vào đúng chỗ và nó chặt. Screwdrivers. Cái kìm là I don't know what it is called. Let's just say tools, okay? And sometimes they borrow ladders, ladders, những cái thang nữa. And spare keys, chìa khóa dự phòng. Okay, between friends and students, they often borrow clothes or any kind of accessories. And of course, books or materials. They often really, really love to borrow it. Motorbikes, bicycle, or sometimes they borrow notebook from each other. And other small things like, for example, umbrellas, raincoat. Let me just write down umbrella, raincoats, bật lửa. Yeah, sometimes they borrow that, matches, diêm quẹt, lighter, bật lửa, or lighter. Thì cắt móng tay, it's nail trimmer, đồ cắt móng tay, nail trimmer. Okay, so yeah, those are something that people can lend others or You can borrow from others. And think about it. Sometimes you only use it once, so owning it would make no sense, right? Mình chỉ xài nó đúng một lần thôi, cho nên là nhiều khi sở hữu nó thì đúng đúng nghĩa là make no sense luôn á. So, like for example, if you don't use it anymore, it catch dust. It catch dust, bám bụi. Nó sẽ catch dust. They will catch dust after a while and become, let's say, a clutter. A clutter. A clutter. Một vật dụng để bừa bãi, không dùng tới trong nhà. They become a clutter. And of course, they makes your home really like a warehouse. It looks like a warehouse. Nhà kho hơn là cái nhà để ở. It looks more like a warehouse than a house you live in. Okay, so think about that. That's why they borrow things from others, or they ask you if you can lend them those things. Now, what situation should people borrow things from others? So this is the opposite direction, cái hướng ngược lại. And also you should talk about situations, Mình tập trung vào cái tình huống nào con người ta nên mượn và đi mượn. Okay. Just focus on the situations. And also focus on how close you are with those people. Mình thân với họ không, lắm không? And why is lending money to others a risky thing to do? Easy question. And should people borrow money to buy expensive things? Why not? This question doesn't specifically say that you borrow money from people, but you can borrow money from the bank. Có thể mượn tiền ngân hàng mà. Yeah, đâu cần nhất thiết phải là mượn tiền từ người này người kia đâu. Should people borrow money to buy expensive things? And why not? In some situation, yes. Like for example, if you borrow money from the bank to borrow to basically to purchase an apartment, the housing prices will always go up, So if you do not borrow money from a bank, it's called take loans. ON. Take loans. Mượn nợ. Mượn nợ ngân hàng. Take loans. If you don't take loans, it's impossible to buy expensive apartments or houses. So think about that. Not all the time it's a no, not all the time. Cái câu này không phải lúc nào cũng là no đâu nha. So think about that. And sometimes people borrow money from a bank as an investment. Giống như họ mượn từ ngân hàng để đầu tư. But of course, those can be very risky. Think about those things. Okay, you have some time to think about this topic now. Okay, Mr. Can you describe a thing that you refused to lend?
Okay, I would like to mention a situations that I refused to lend. I think this stories was quite simple, but it was a surprising situation for me. One day when I received a package from a delivery driver, I chose to pay using a QR code on my phone because I don't have cash. So it is my priority options. Suddenly, the driver asked me to hand over my phone so he could scan the codes himself. Because his old device were fixed on his motorbike, so he couldn't take his phone. So I was very shocked because I had never experienced anything like that before. Without thinking twice, I politely refuse. For me to instead of that, I used my phone to um I and went directly to his motorbike to scan my will QR code. For me, the value of the parcels was nothing compared to the value of my phone.
Mm,
Not to mention on my personal information stored inside it.
mm.
A smartphone today is like a digital identity.
You
We keep
never let people borrow your smartphone, okay?
Yes, we keep our bank account, private messages, and important files in it.
Mm-hmm.
Losing it would be a nightmare.
It's a nightmare.
Yes, it could be a nightmare. I
Oh
can't
my God.
imagine the stress of having to recover every password and all um my personal data.
Mhm.
So that moment reminds me that it's okay to say no when something feels unsafe, even if it seems like a small request.
Mm-hmm. All right. So that's why you refuse to lend it. Okay. So what situation should people lend things to others? So now you have something. In what situation should people lend things to others then?
Several situations that people lend things to others. Um, but but to say about what they should lend, I think it should be truly necessary, just as during emergencies. For
Mm.
example, if someone's if someone uh, mm, if someone's um,
Yes.
as if someone need to contact their family uh, when their phone is locked. So I will I will proactive to call their family for them.
Mm.
Of course, I don't lend a phone. I think it's not safe
It's
to
never
do that.
safe to do that.
Yes,
Even lending your phone to a child, like your child, I would never want to do that.
yes. Lending can show kindness and
Mm.
improve your relationship. Uh, However, sometimes lending something small can make uh, can can be good, but something that you choose not to lend others. People should lend only what they can afford to lose, just in case something goes wrong. I believe that support. I believe that uh, lending supports the ideas of cooperations and community, but it should come from your um, foundations. Trust is an important factor when lending items. If, if the borrower is responsible, I means they reliable,
Mm.
the lender will feel more comfortable to lend. Of
Okay.
course, sharing things can also reduce waste and save money in si- in some situations. So uh, so I think lending in right situation can raise goodwill,
Create
can raise goodwill and help people
can create.
can raise goodwill and
Ah,
help people feel helpful.
mm.
Yes, it's also is a simple way to show care and support to others. Of course, mm, it should be balanced and reasonable.
It should be what?
Reasonable.
Ah, yes.
Mm.
Helpful.
Because yes, because the lender should feel comfortable and are willing to do that, not be forced.
I agree with you. Okay, so well, let's try another one. So, what situation should people borrow things from others? So it's the opposite direction. So like you need something, yeah, but you don't want to buy it, let's say, and so you decide to borrow that thing from others. So let's talk about that. What situation should people borrow things from others and why?
I think that people should borrow things when they really need them, but cannot buy them immediately. Um, for example, borrowed tools, uh, such as household tools, um, hammers, a screwdriver, later something like that. That they
Screwdriver. Oh.
just yes, that they just use a one time. So it seems more practical than buying new ones.
Mm, I
Of
agree.
course, yes, of course, borrowing can help people save money, especially students or young people who have limited income, but it should be limited. Uh,
Limited.
should be limited. Uh, mm, limited and when the lender are willing to do that.
And also you have to be very strict, like ask people to return it in like within a limited time. What would happen if they do not? You have to be strict with people if you decide to lend them money.
Yeah. It
Otherwise,
should not. It should
yeah,
in urgent situations.
only
Uh,
urgent situations. Yeah.
yes, it should not be. It should not become a habit.
Should never become a habit.
Yes,
But what's urgent situation? Can you talk about it? Like what kind of urgent
like
situation then?
yes, it's also useful when something is urgent, like borrowing an umbrella on a rainy day. When you forget mm, to keep one by yourself. I think um people are willing p- to lend uh others an umbrella, and they returned back to them.
Mm-hmm.
And some urgent situations that I can think about may be related to money.
Mm.
When people in hardship, they can borrow their
Borrow,
uh,
baba can borrow.
they can borrow their friends or their family member. I don't I don't think it's always a good idea, but um, I accept that in their hardship they can do that to overcome their financial uh, mm, difficulty.
Mm.
However, people should only borrow from
Borrow,
those
borrow,
should only
borrow.
should only borrow from those who trust them, and they must take good care of the item and return this on time. It's very important to maintain their good relationship. Saying thank you and showing appreciations is also very important. And I appreciate people who are responsible for their behaviors. Um, Moral should always be based on respect. Yes. If they promise anything, especially about times and way they returns the items or money, for example, they should do that absolutely in the right time. If done properly, it can strengthen relationship and bring people um, closer and believed, a trust. Yes. So shows people should borrow things from others when they really need them and in their uh and in their urgent situations.
I say, okay, like for example, if let's say if my mother, sorry, if one of my relative has an accident and then they really need the money, you know. So this is a situation where a lot of scammers, they try to scam people. They pretend to be someone who are close to you. They use AI for that, you know. Một cái tình huống mà mấy tụi lừa đảo nó hay dùng á. Nó dùng AI để nó tạo dựng video ảo, video giả. Lấy người thân của mình nói con đang bị tai nạn này nọ, you know. So those situation happens a lot this year. A lot, you know. So it's risky, very risky to let people borrow money from now on, you know, very risky. Unless you call that person with a telephone line, you know, and then or unless you see them in the hospital, then you should pay the bills, for example, something like that. But I will not borrow. I will not let them borrow money from me. Okay, but let's talk about okay, this question, it's about you needing to borrow things from others. Can you talk about things that you only use once, please? Or things that are very expensive. You don't have the finance to do that yet, but in the long run, you can prepay it. Can you talk about that? Like, for
I,
example, buying an apartment
to be
or
honest,
something like that. Yeah.
I usually borrow my uh coworkers
Oh.
stationery things such as pencil, pens, and and especially scissors. Scissors. Yes, because I usually lost my stationery things. I don't know why I lose them. I just uh I just takes them uh, from place to place uh, and I cannot find them anymore. So to be honest, the things I often borrow the most are my stationery things.
Mm.
those though they are seems though they seems not too important, but of course, I think people may feel uncomfortable if others borrow them time to times. So uh, keep your items in your eyes and take care of them is also a way to show your uh, respect and responsibility that people are willing to lend you their items and money because they know that it's a high chance to receive the to a high chance for you to return their item for them.
There's a high chance they will not run away,
Yes.
Anyway, so why is lending money to others a risky thing to do?
Mm.
Có nhiều trường hợp mượn cho
Maybe
mượn xong cái hồi biến mất luôn, mất dạng luôn á.
you know, money is a thing that's quite sensible to lend because there is always a chance it will not be paid back. Some people may forget or they might avoid returning the money on purpose. This can cause consequences such as arguments and damage friendships. People usually say that if you lend someone, especially your friends, money, uh, you can't lose friends and money at the same time. Money is a sensitive topic. People are, and people often feel uncomfortable talking about it. If the borrower is in financial trouble, paying back the loan can be very difficult and take a long time. People may also feel guilty or stressed about how they return their uh, uh borrowed money.
Ừ.
Uh, another on another way, the lender might feel disappointed or angry if they lost money. Sometimes people promise to return it on time, but take much longer because the still situations is something that no one can uh, expect. Uh, it's also risky because lending money can change how people sees each other. If they returns uh, their monies on time, is not anything to talk about. But if they don't do that, they take much longer, or even worse, they don't return this. Trust can be lost very easily in money master. So for these reasons, many people prefer not to lend money unless it's to someone very close and reliable. Sometimes when people decide to to uh, lend their family members or close friend monies, is I believe that is a hard decisions.
It's a hard decision nha.
Yes.
Quyết định không hề dễ dàng.
some people think that it's better to give their monies as presents or something like that instead of borrowing, instead of lending them.
Okay. All right. So should people borrow money to buy expensive things? Let's talk about houses, apartments, and things that will increase money through time. It's like an investment. Should people borrow money to buy expensive things? Why? Why not?
In my opinions, I absolutely don't agree to borrow money to buy expensive things.
Well, this is about borrow money from the bank, not borrow money from people. So it can be like that. You need to think like, try to be open-minded.
Okay, people should be careful about borrowing money to buy expensive things. They should uh, separate what what they really need. Especially can be luxury things or uh, be or what's necessary for their life, such as a
Mhm.
house, uh, vehicles, or something like that. But for me, I didn't agree. I don't agree to borrow money to buy luxury thing which don't really necessary, which are unnecessary. It's because they are not essential for people living. If the items is not necessary, borrowing money can create financial problems later. So it's better to save up and buy something when you can afford it. However, for essential items like home or vehicles that they related uh, to helping their job or something like that, borrowing can be a smart investment. Uh, Loan from bank can help people achieve goals that would take too long to reach. Of course, borrowers must make sure they can repay the money on time. They should have a concise plan to uh, to ensure that they have the ability to return their uh, monies
To
to
repay
repay
their debts.
to
Nhưng mà trả
repay
lại cái khoản nợ đấy, it's called to repay
to
their
repay
debts.
to repay their debts.
Trả lại được những khoản nợ. To repay their debts. Cái từ này là debts nha. Okay, it's very important to do that. And they should repay their debts as soon as possible. Càng sớm càng tốt. Because basically the longer they let it be, the longer they let it be, the more interest, tiền lãi, the more interest they have to pay to the bank, of course. Họ càng để nó dơ nó let it be, họ càng để nó y chang như vậy, không chịu trả nợ càng lâu thì lại càng nhiều lãi suất họ phải trả ngân hàng, đương nhiên. The more interest they have to pay to the bank. So that's why I try my best. I already repaid all of my debts already. And I'm so happy about it.
Yes,
All right.
because high debt can cause stress
Ugh,
and affect
lot of stress. Ngủ dậy
and
nó như vòi tiền.
affects mental health.
Of course
So
it does affect mental health. Of course it does.
many people end up paying more, a huge, a huge debt because of interest fees raised day to day. Before borrowing, people need to think about their future incomes. If they have financial stabilization,
Stability, the financial stability, you mean?
yes, financial stability. But if their future incomes is unstable, they should not borrowing anything. They should not borrowing loan from the bank. Because borrowing without a plan is very risky. If they can afford, they can be buried. They can be buried in in their debt.
Debts, debt nha, chị debts.
Debt.
They can be buried. Bury, cái từ này là đọc là bury với bury nha. They can be buried. Chôn ai đó. To bury someone. Chôn ai đó. So it's buried under a lot of debts. Bị chôn vùi với rất nhiều nợ, tức là giống như là nợ như chuối chổn. Buried under a lot of debts. You don't want that. You seriously don't want that.
Yeah. So people should only borrow money for important purposes. And plan carefully before do that.
All right, good. Now let's try another topic now. Okay, this is 57. Okay, let me write it down. Where's my, okay, why does it, where's my pencil? Okay. Okay, 57 is done. Okay, let's try another one. Let's try 255. Describe a rule you would like to implement at your school. Miêu tả một cái điều luật nào đó mà anh chị muốn áp dụng, đưa vào ở trong trường mình. So to introduce a law or a rule, đưa vào một điều luật, đưa vào thực hiện một điều luật. So introduce a law or rules. It's nearly similar to implement a rule or something like that. It's very similar. Nó cũng y chang nhau thôi. Thực hiện một điều luật. A rule you would like to implement at your school. You should say what the rule is, why you think it's important, who you would follow these rules, and some explain how it would improve your school. Like, for example, there's a lot of rules in school already, but I think one rule that people should really think about doing that is to force people to use deodorant, I think. To use deodorant or without R, or deodorant. Sử dụng lăn nắp đó, lăn khử mùi. You know, because in schools, high school, children are often they're very smelly. Bốc mùi lắm luôn á, nhiều bạn bị hôi nách nó bốc mùi lắm luôn á, cả trai lẫn gái luôn. So there's a lot of children in Vietnam, they really need to use to learn how to use deodorant or to use perfume. You know, to use perfume or to at least wash often. wash 2 times per day, something like that. Tắm 2 lần một ngày ha. At least. Like once, they should wash once in the morning and once another time when they get back home or something like that. I think there should be something like that. Okay, just some ideas. Another rule, I think it's to always finish their homeworks on time. If you do not do your homework on time, they have to get out of class. It's like that. In my old school, they had that rule. But you know, these days, teachers have to be softer because they're not allowed to hit children. Of course not. They're not even allowed to, okay, they're allowed to scold bad students, yes, but they're not allowed to hit them, of course. And so basically, there has been a lot of an increase. There has been an increase in um, in bullying and violence, you know, bạo lực học đường, violence in schools. So how would people deal with that? Think about some rules, something like that. And then part 3, what kind of rules do family have? Những gia đình có những cái điều luật như nào? There's at least 100 different rules. If you are born and raised in a northern family, in a northern, in a northern Vietnamese family. Nếu mà em mà sinh ra là cái người Bắc, người Việt đi, người Bắc đi. Oh my God, có ít nhất cả 100 thứ điều luật khác nhau luôn. So it ensures that northern children are born and raised very carefully. Thực sự là người Bắc họ được nuôi rất là cẩn thận, có rất nhiều cái quy tắc phải tuân theo. Là nuôi rất cẩn thận luôn á. So basically, because of that, let's say northern children are strict. I mean, they were born in a very strict environment and they have high standards. They often have high standards. Có những chuẩn, có những tiêu chuẩn rất là cao. They do have high standards, okay? And it's hard to please them. It's hard to please them. Khó làm chiều lòng họ lắm. It's actually hard to please them. Okay, you can talk about that. How about rules of family in the South and in the Central? The South and Central? Vùng miền Trung, Central, or the South of Vietnam? Do they have any rules like that? You can talk about rules when it comes to dinner time. Dinner time rules. Không được, ví dụ như không được ăn thành tiếng. Like children are not allowed to make noise when eating, or they are not allowed to, let's just say, so they should never pick up the last piece of food on the plates. Không bao giờ nên ăn cái miếng cuối cùng trên cái đĩa. Đó là một trong những cái điều mà thấy vô lý nhất luôn á, nhưng mà nó vẫn được nhiều người bắt buộc phải theo nha. They should never pick up the last piece of food on the plate. I think it's a weird rules, but these days it's getting a little bit better now, like less strict. There's another rules like cái rules về vai vế gia đình ấy. There's a rules about like family status, like the status of each members of the family. Like if you have an extended family, gia đình mà đông con, gia đình mà nhiều thế hệ á, sống chung. So if you have an extended family, meal time, you must have meal together, of course. Đương nhiên là must have meals together. Đương nhiên phải ăn cùng nhau rồi đó. They must have meals together, and of course, young children are often they often have to have to eat. Ở cái mâm dưới nha, chúng ta ăn mâm trên luôn nha. They often have to eat on the floor. You know, they often have to eat on the floor, sitting on the floor, while older people eat while eat sitting when sitting on big couches. Khi mà họ ngồi trên cái mâm trên 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 một cái giường, trên một cái couch, một cái ghế rất là lớn như thế, cái giường lớn, on big couches or big bed, you know. Đó là cái luật về vai vế nha. Those are basically the rules when it comes to social status. Social status, địa vị xã hội. It's come to rules on social status. You have to really respect that. And also, there are the rules, you know, like to not go home to not go home late, không được đi về nhà quá khuya, to not go home late, to what else? Siêu nhiều luật luôn á. Family in Vietnam have a lot of rules, but it is necessary, you know. Nó rất là cần thiết luôn á. It's actually necessary. So why are rules important in society? Tại sao những luật nó lại quan trọng trong một xã hội? So think about the fact that it ensures safety and harmony. Nó đảm bảo tính an toàn và cái sự hài hòa trong xã hội nha. Because if people follow rules, it makes sure that everyone is safe first. And of course, harmony, because if people know where they stand, they know know who they are. Nếu con người ta biết họ là ai, they know who they are, they will not have inappropriate behaviors. Đó là sẽ không có những hành vi không đúng chuẩn, không đúng mực. They will not have inappropriate behaviors. And because of that, it ensures the harmony of the society. Nó sẽ đảm bảo cái tính mà gọi là hài hòa, ôn hòa, hài hòa của một cái xã hội. Especially like in any society you have that. People often think that Western society do not have rules, but actually there's a lot of rules, you know. Thật sự xã hội phương Tây cực kỳ có nhiều rules luôn nha, nó còn nhiều rules, nó cũng y chang như xã hội Việt Nam, không gì khác đó. Nó cũng nhiều rules lắm nha, nhưng mà nó gọi là nó có sự thoáng hơn. Basically in a Western society, there's a bit more open-minded when it comes to rules, you know. They are allowed to discuss that. Người ta có thể tranh luận về chuyện đó. But in Eastern society, I don't think people discuss it ever. It's hardly ever do I see people discuss rules in, say, in a Vietnamese society, for example. All right, think about that. Give some examples. Cho một số ví dụ. Like, for example, without rules, people will, like, for example, especially traffic rules, traffic laws. Think about that. Luật giao thông, không có luật giao thông thì sao? There could be lots of accidents. People could be dead, you know, before they even know it. Tự nhiên đang đi trên đường cái đùng, con đứa chạy vượt đèn đỏ đâm trúng chết. You know, if people crossing the red light, if people cross the road, crossing the red light, cross the red light, vượt đèn đỏ. Let's check this one. I think it's oh, sorry, run a red light. It's not cross a red light. If people run a red light, go through a traffic light when it's red without stopping, vượt qua đèn đỏ khi mà nó đang đỏ vậy mà không có ngừng lại, run a red light, vượt đèn đỏ. Well, if people run a red light, it can cause fatal or deadly accidents, Think about that. And also think about bộ luật bảo vệ bà mẹ trẻ em. There's often like laws for the protection of children and women. Think about that to prevent domestic abuse, để chống cái gọi là bạo hành gia đình. Bạo hành về nhiều cái lắm nha, thân thể, bạo hành về lời nói. There can be domestic abuse in terms of like words, vocal or verbal abuse. Verbal abuse, nó gọi là bạo hành lời nói. Sỉ vả người khác có một dạng verbal abuse đấy. Domestic abuse, bạo hành gia đình, it's not just physically but can be verbally as well. Verbal liên quan đến lời nói. Think about those things. Should children participate in setting rules? Trẻ nhỏ có nên tham gia vào chuyện tạo ra luật lệ hay không? Well, I'll let you think about that. But first, let's think about this topic for a moment. Okay, Ms. Ruth, can you describe a rule you would like to implement at your school?
Yes. One rules I hope schools will implement is not forcing students to take part in extracurricular activities against their will. I think it's just my opinions. I think this is important because many schools organize activities that may not suit everyone's interest or ability. Some students are introverted and they feel uncomfortable joining large group events. Others may have problems or personal responsibilities after school. When activities become compulsory, students might feel stressed instead of enjoying them. So, schools should respect individual personalities and give students the freedom to choose what they like. It could also make schools more meaningful and enjoyable once they appreciate their students. A school should be a place where students feel respected and supported, not forced to do something they dislike. That's why I strongly believe this rule would benefit students and benefits for students.
You know what? When you introduce a law, there will be a lot of resistance from the student and from people. There's going to be rất là nhiều cái sự cản trở, resistance. People always like that. It's hard, but let's hope for the best. Okay, so what kind of rules do families have? It's not just Vietnamese family. You might need to think about other kind of family too.
Most families have varieties of rules to ensure their home runs smoothly. Of course, on their perspective. For example, many parents expect their children to respect elders and behave politely. Some ones have strict rules about times, such as not playing game during meals, don't handing out late or are going to bed early, for example.
Mhm.
And of course, I know that the rules should be reasonable, and the final aim should be benefits for the children and their family members, not only to let to make to satisfy any person. It should aim for uh, a
Yes.
group of families for a common goal that benefits everyone. Yes. There are also household chores uh, assigned to each
Okay.
family members, like doing the dishes or cleaning the bedroom, to
Mhm.
ensure that everyone have their responsibility and they do them uh, uh, do do them with their mm, with this sincere. Yes, many family create rules about homework to make sure their children focus on their study. For example, they check their children's homeworks before they go to the bed, or for yes, another another common rules is arriving home on time. Uh, because safety is a major concern of parents. And there are many rules to help maintain harmony and respect among everyone at home.
Mm. I agree with that.
I think that
Well, to ensure,
rules are good, but
family education is part of family educations, and that's why a lot of Vietnamese people are well educated because of that. We know how to behave well. We don't act like a lot of uneducated people. Because of family rules. It helps. But sometimes I think it's a bit too much, I think.
yeah,
Like
some
I would love to just go out and then come home at like 2 o'clock in the morning or something like that, you know?
of course I don't agree the old rules. I mean rules that's not suitable for nowadays living style. For example, during family meals, children are often are not allowed to make noise or argues. It's good. It's okay. It's right. But I don't agree that people don't talk anything when they are having meal. I think it's a good way to communicate with other and share their story during meals. It can improve their family connections and enhance uh, and strengthen their bond. In some, I think in traditional Vietnamese culture, not talking when having meals is not suitable anymore.
I think so too, because people want to communicate. You cannot
Yeah.
just shut them out when they are eating. Because when they have meals, that's when they share whatever happens to them during the day.
Mm.
So if you don't allow them to speak, how is it even possible for them to communicate, right?
Yeah. It's uh and once people not people decide not to say anything more.
Oh dear.
Yes, it can be a negative mm, consequences.
Mhm.
Mm. Because people don't want to communicate with other anymore. In a day, uh, there there's uh there's not much time for people to share, to communicate, and people try their best to do that uh in their meals, just as at night when people come from their companies and they share their moments together. It's very valuable. It's
It's
very
very valuable, valuable.
valuable. Yes, it's very valuable. So I agree that rules are good to some extent because it have maintained or uh, maintains harmony and builds on builds mm, yes of course if people know how to respect each other, rules may not too important.
So, talking about rules in society, why are rules important in society? What do you think?
Mm. Rules are essentials in society because they protect people benefits and ensure justice. Without rules, anyone could do anything, and society would become chaotic and unsafe. For
I'm
example,
sorry. Yeah.
yes, for example, traffic rules prevents accidents and save life every day.
Hmm.
When people run a red light, they can't graze or traffic accidents. It's
Hmm.
it's maybe not too serious, but it can cause many consequences later, such
The
as traffic.
consequences later.
Yes, later, such as traffic congestions and lead to uh, affect uh, timeline. For example, they can be stuck in the traffic on the road, or even worse, mm, traf- uh, traffic when traffic accident happens, um, you- mm, is is cause fatals and something like that. Laws also protect people's rights so that no one is treated unfairly or abused. For example, um, public in public transportations, vehi-
Transportation.
yes, public transportation vehicles, people uh, flock to maintains uh, maintains a quiet and are not allowed to make noise.
Hmm. But then
Yeah.
these days, you see a lot of young children, even like adults, they watch a lot of TikTok videos when they open like their external speakers. They open the speakers of their phones very loudly in public places, you know. They do not they do not respect the rules of society. Nó còn những cái rules, nó ngoài ra cái luật nó còn những cái gọi là social etiquette. So etiquette. Check this word out. It's a very nice word to learn. Social etiquettes. Okay, why is the net so bad? Social etiquettes, những quy tắc. Etiquette, những quy tắc ứng xử trong xã hội. So basically, it's the set of rules or customs that control accepted behaviors in particular social group or social situations. Quy tắc ứng xử tức là bộ những cái điều luật hoặc là tập tục tập quán mà nó kiểm soát những hành vi chấp nhận được trong những cái nhóm xã hội cụ thể hoặc là trong những tình huống xã hội cụ thể, đó chính là những cái quy tắc ứng xử trong xã hội. So basically, it's talk about social etiquettes that people have to follow. Can you talk about that? Because this is not only about laws, you know. Cái câu này nó không chỉ là nói về cái laws đâu, nó còn về những quy tắc ứng xử nữa cơ. Can you talk about that now? Why is these rules important in society? That people know how to behave well, you know, so that they don't make enemies, you know.
Yes. Rules help maintain orders and make sure everyone behave responsibly. Even when they don't want to do that, they break the rules, and that's why they have to be fight for what they do. That's why rules are born. When people follow rules, a community can develop trust and cooperations. Everyone believe in law, in rules, and they follow them. They also solve conflicts peacefully instead of through violence or illegal behaviors.
Illegal behaviors.
They reflect moral values that society want their citizens to follow. These seems are common sense that should be respected and appreciated.
You know what? Sometimes common sense is not so common. Một số những cái điều mà thường là ai cũng phải biết nhưng nó lại không hề common đối với nhiều người.
Yes, that's why rules are born to make sure people direct it in the proper way. In in short, rules create a stable environment where people can live and work happily. Societies cannot function functions rapidly without rules.
Just look at Cambodian society.
Yes.
Oh wow.
Rules not only negative negative people behaviors, but also protect uh, society from instability.
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 Or you can use instability as well, cái sự bất ổn xã hội. Well, let's try the last one. So should children participate in setting rules? Children means like they have not reached the age of 12 or 13. 12, 13 is a teenager, you know. 14 to 19 is adolescence. Tuổi vị thành niên là 14, 19. Teenager là 12, 13. Còn trước đó là children nha. So should children participate in setting rules? You think they should do that or not?
No. I believe children should be included this in making some family rules. When children have great rules, they feel listened to. Maybe it's not too important, too serious. Mm. They can be a part of creating rules in domestic rule. They are more likely to follow rules that they have decided. I think so. This also teaches them about responsibility and consequences. Their children, their parents should guide mm, should guide them how to set rules and respect their expectation. Children might met of course if children met unrealistic or overly easy rules if adults are not involved. It can be another story when they are allowed to participate in rule making. They should be accompanied with their parents' instructions.
Accompanied
by accompanied by their parents' instructions to improve communications between parents and children and make their rules more reasonable and appreciated by both parties. It helps children express their opinions confidently and reduce arguments and misunderstanding.
reduce argument and misunderstanding.
And reduce argument and misunderstandings
But
in the
don't you think
family.
that children are not old enough? They don't understand why rules have to be there in the first place, don't you think? Some
That's
children, they don't
why
understand that.
that's why I said about that they should be accompanied by their
Guardians.
parents' instructions.
So basically, there should be instructions. And up until the time that you are 17, you still need guardian, người giám hộ. Và lý do tại sao mà đến 17 tuổi, gần 18 tuổi mới vẫn còn cần người giám hộ là như thế. That's why when you're not 18 years old, yeah, you still need guardian. Okay, anyway. But is there any cases when children should participate in setting rules? What do you think? Is there any exceptions? Like, for example, if there are some children who are quite older than their age, nó già hơn trước tuổi, they are older than their age, older and more mature than their age, then probably they can even behave way better than a lot of adults, Có nhiều trẻ nhỏ mà nó già trước tuổi á, nó hành xử tốt hơn nhiều so với nhiều người lớn luôn á. Should they participate in setting rules? What do you think?
I think that laws related to children should take children's opinions into account. Especially children nowadays seems older and more mature than their age.
Mature.
Yeah, mature than their age compared to the past. I because children nowadays have more chance to access informations for from political to news from social medias or televisions in their age. It does makes their experience rich,
Richer.
more richer.
It's
Yes.
to make more there to enrich the experience. You can use the word enrich the experience. Làm giàu thêm cho cái trải nghiệm của chúng. To enrich their experience.
And and children are the ones who experience the results of those rules directly, so they deserve to have their voice uh, heard. Listening to children in to some extent shows respect for their rights and have adults have new horizons in their uh, perspective, because sometimes the adults
They
have
make mistakes too, you know. Adults
it,
make mistakes too, a lot of mistakes.
yes, they make mistakes, and there's just consists on their um perspective. It's not always right.
Perspective.
Yes,
Perspective.
perspective, and they are not always right. So they should listen to others' ideas.
Yeah.
When children are allowed to express their ideas, they feel valued and learn the importance of participating in society, something that they have to learn to, and is important for their future growth. Of course, students, adults still need to guide them and help them mm, to participate in this field in a proper way.
Yes, I agree with that. All right, they need a lot of guidance, and of course, you cannot allow them so much. You cannot allow them too much because they're still children. You have to understand that. Không thể cho chúng quá nhiều thứ, thì vẫn còn trẻ nhỏ mà, you know. So that's why up until the year they are 18 years old, they're not allowed to. But basically, they cannot take full responsibility for their actions yet. Đến 18 tuổi vẫn chưa thể chịu trách nhiệm hoàn toàn những hành động của chúng nữa mà. Basically, they cannot appear in court. They cannot appear in court. They cannot be sentenced to prison. Không thể bị kết án tù được, you know. But because of that, it means that they are not mature enough to understand the dire consequences, to understand the dire consequences. You know the word dire, the dire consequences of their actions. Nó không hiểu được tất cả những cái consequences, tất cả những cái hậu quả nghiêm trọng của hành vi của chúng được. So that's why I don't think children should participate in setting rules. But there are, of course, always exceptions, you know. They are geniuses. Có những đứa bé nó gọi là geniuses, những cái thiên tài á, you know. Geniuses. Or if they are older than their age. Nếu nó già hơn tuổi hạn. Well, they probably should participate in setting rules, I think. Yeah. Okay, so I think we should stop here now. I think. Okay, and Merry Christmas, Miss Trúc.
Merry Christmas, teacher. Thầy ơi, tuần
Yes.
chủ chủ nhật này